Hi and welcome back to our video on flowcharts. In this video, we're going to go a little bit further than we did in the last video. The last video we learned how to use a program that you can access at draw.io. You can use that URL and you can create a flowchart for free. You can save it into your Google Drive. It's a very nice tool to edit and use to create flowcharts. So we're going to take a look at how we can specifically use a flowchart to show something called selection in programming. In other words, checking for conditions. It's very common in a program that we need to check for conditions. For instance, we might have a dice game and we want to check for winning conditions. So we're going to take a look at how we do that. Remember that when you're writing any flowchart, you're always creating the flowchart in English. We're not using any language specific. So we're not using cout or cn as you would in C++ or anything like that. So make sure you're writing the flowchart and constructing it in English. That way you can actually transfer the flowchart and then you could go program in whatever language you want, Java or Python or C++. So make sure it's written in English. What we're going to do is check and learn how to use selection in programming. If you were to do this in some languages, you might translate this flowchart into if then else, or if, else if, else if, else. Maybe you're going to convert it to that. But like we said, we're going to write this in English. This flowchart is for a dice game called Snake Eyes and Sevens. And basically, if the user gets a dice total of 2 or 7, then they are a winner of the game. Any other sum, then we're going to consider that they've lost the game. So we're going to take a look at part of the flowchart, not the whole thing. Notice here at the top we have game instructions. Always make sure your game has instructions. The user needs to understand your game and how it works. Never assume that the user knows your game. Yes, you built it, you understand it, but any user must understand your game. So game instructions are really important. Make sure you include that at the beginning. Our game here then goes on for this input here. And notice inputs are parallelograms. What's the value of the first dice? So we're actually going to have the user input the value of the first dice. Then we're going to go down and we're going to ask what's the value of the second dice. So that's another input, that's a parallelogram. Then we're going to get to this rectangle here. That's a process because we want to add the two dice together. So we need to do that. And then we're going to start checking conditions. And the first condition is one of the winning conditions. Is the sum of the dice equal to 2? If it is, we're going to branch and go this way with the flow, and if it's not equal to 2, it's going to branch this way and go there. What it's going to go down to is the next winning condition, and that's if the sum is equal to 7. So if it's not equal to 2, then it's going to go here, check to see if it's equal to 7. If the sum is equal to 2, then it's going to branch and go here, and we're going to output to the screen, you win. Always make sure you tell your user whether they've won or lost. Don't assume that they know. Make sure you tell them that they've won or lost the game. If the sum is equal to 7, that's another winning condition. So it's going to go here and it's going to tell them that they win. Make sure you label all your branches. I forgot to label mine here. So this is a yes. We branch off and go that way. So we're going to tell them that they've won, and if there is some kind of total score, we're going to add winning points to the total. Those are the two winning conditions. And really we don't have to check anything else, because if those winning conditions are not met, then they've lost. So we're just going to go from here next. We're going to output, sorry, you lose. So we only need, in this game, to check those two winning conditions. We don't need to check anything else. If those two are not met, it's going to go down here. And again, we should label all these. So this is no. And it's going to go here. And it's going to say, sorry, you lose. And then the game's going to carry on from that point there. So That's how we set up a flowchart to check for conditions. We just need to think about what we're going to check. We don't need to check everything. We just need to check the winning conditions here. There's only two. If those have not been met, then sorry, they lose the game and the flow carries on from there. That's it for the part of the flowchart. If you wanted to now finish, let's just show you what you do to export this. You're going to go to File and you're going to go to Export As, and we're going to export as a PDF. So Export as PDF, we're going to go there and we want to crop what we have here. So we're going to crop and we're going to export, and when it saves, it's going to save in your Google Drive. So click on this here, we'll save it in our Google Drive. Before you submit, always open it up yourself to make sure that it was cropped properly, it hasn't cut off any parts of your flowchart. Always check your files before you submit. That's it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.